Hello and welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are watching another chess classic. This one was played in 1973 in Dubna, and the players were Mikhail Tal, who was playing with white, and Rafael Vaganyan, who was playing with black pieces. What is so unique about this game is that Mikhail Tal actually won this game in 12 moves, and he won it only by playing a positional play. So this is not your regular Mikhail Tal, all pieces flying across the board game, but a really positional victory. His opponent unfortunately was forced to resign because there was no way of saving either the material or the checkmate, and truly an amazing victory in French defense, playing against French defense, and I'm sure this is a game you would like to see and a game that will help you a lot in your chess career. So if you enjoy this type of content, please make sure to leave a comment, like and share the video, and as always, please make sure to leave your suggestions as well. And without further ado, we will go straight into the game. So Mikhail Tal opened the game with e4, his opponent replied with e6, Mikhail Tal played d4, and d5 was black's reply. Mikhail Tal now continues the game with knight d2. This is Tarrasch variation of the French defense. In these sort of positions, white is giving up his, so to speak, advantage to have a more stable position, unlike other variations. And that's the reason why this move was played, and it was really popular back in the day. Now black has many options. Black can play, for example, knight f6. Black can play pushing this pawn on c5. These are two more common variations for black. For example, if black plays knight f6, then we go into advanced variation or close Tarrasch. Then knight f to d7 is one of the options. But main idea after knight d2 is to actually for black to play c5 and to immediately undermine black's position. This is how usually those positions are played. But Rafael Vaganyan was a true expert in French defense. So after knight d2 by Mikhail Tal, he decided to play knight c6. His idea is to, in one part of the game, to simply push this pawn and to put pressure on this e5 square. Of course, now this move has his disadvantages, as we talked about previously. The main disadvantage is actually pushing this c5 pawn here, so this is not a possibility anymore, and that is the reason why maybe this is not the best way to approach the French defense. But of course, who am I to speak to one of the best players in French defense, Rafael Vaganyan. So our game continued with knight g to f3 by Mikhail Tal. Mikhail Tal simply wants to now control this square, this e5 square, and doesn't allow black to push this pawn and his main idea. Black now decided to play knight f6, and after this move Mikhail Tal decided to play e5, immediately advancing his pawn, and right now completely blocking the possibility of pushing this black pawn to e5. Black is forced to retreat with his knight, and he plays knight to d7. Now Mikhail Tal had many options in this position, but he decided to play knight b3. In some other French variations, this pawn can be weak, and maybe knight b3 is not the best option, but here it's perfectly fine. In some other French variations, usually when black plays a pawn on c5, white can play, for example, like c3, and this is one of the ways you can play French defense. Of course, this wasn't played. Knight b3 was played, and black now continues with f6. So black is a little bit in a hurry. He wants to undermine this white's pawn structure, but maybe actually a better move was to play, instead of f6, bishop e7 was best, castling for black and then playing f6, because then you will put your king to safety. But black, seeing that he doesn't like his position, he wanted to immediately open it up as much as he can, so that is the reason behind this f6 move. Unfortunately, this is not the best, but still for now there is not many repercussions for Vaganyan. So our game continued with bishop b5 for Mikhail Tal. And Vaganyan again impatiently wants to trade these pawns and to leave this sort of a weak pawn for white. So f takes on e5, d takes on e5, and right now Vaganyan's main idea is to trade pieces, and that is the reason why he played knight c5. With this move, Vaganyan wants to exchange his light pieces and then to ease up the tension on the board a little bit. But unfortunately the situation is getting worse and worse by every move. So right now Mikhail Tal sees that this this H and these light squares around king are very weak, and this is the main focus of Mikhail Tal, and that is the reason why actually black will lose this game. So for now Mikhail Tal plays knight g5. Looks like a completely innocent move, but it has his idea, of course. The main idea coming with your queen on h5 and giving this nasty check, then returning your queen to f3 and then threatening checkmate. As you can see, unfortunately for black, this dark squared bishop is really underdeveloped. The pawns are blocking him, and that's one of the problems in this sort of variations of the French defense. It's hard to find a open space for this bishop, and that is the reason why Tal is using this to his advantage. So our game continued with a bishop d7 for black. Unfortunately, again, not the best option, because right now black is missing the threat of the white, actually the big threat that white has, and the best option for black was to actually play bishop e7. So instead of going bishop d7 after knight g5, you should play bishop e7 and try to castle, because right now after knight takes on c5, bishop takes on c5, Tal would probably play queen d3 with the idea to attack this pawn. So castling is not an option because you will receive a checkmate on h7, and after that g6 would be played for black. Yes, black is slightly worse, but this is a completely playable position for black. So this is one of the ideas that could maybe come across, but unfortunately this wasn't played. But bishop d7 was played after knight g5, and the main idea for black in this position is he just wants to unpin this knight so he can maybe then threaten this pawn, and he just wants to trade his pieces as soon as possible. So that's the main idea behind these moves. And after that Mikhail Tal immediately picks up this knight, and unfortunately now black makes a mistake, and instead of going bishop picking up on c6, he plays bishop takes on c6, which is a huge mistake, and of course I will now show you why. The main idea for black, and although it looks counterintuitive, black simply wanted to open his b file, but it's actually wrong. Bishop c6 is the best option, and I will show you this line. So after knight picks up on c5, bishop will pick on c5, and of course Tal has this free pawn and he will pick it up. After that knight picking up on e6, black will be forced to play queen e7 to protect this bishop on c5. Queen g4 would be played for Mikhail Tal. Right now black would probably pin this knight because it's weak. After that knight takes on g7 would follow, and after king f8, e6 would be played for white, and this is the position that white and black would have after this sort of exchange. And white is doing better, of course, but this is not a complete devastation of a position. Although black lost the right to castle, you can still play this position, although it will be hard. This is not a completely lost game for black, so that is why bishop taking on c6 was the best. But Vaganyan unfortunately saw that this is not the best option, and he actually played b takes on c6. This allows Tal to create his original idea with queen h5 check. After this move, black decided to defend with g6, pretty much the only move, because you don't want to move your king. Queen f7 is main threat. And after quiet queen f3 move, Vaganyan decided to resign, because there is no way of stopping the checkmate and also stopping the material loss. I will of course show you how this would go. So after this move, obviously there is a checkmate threat on f7, so black has to react with queen e7, also protecting this knight on c5. With this move, after this move, white would pick up this knight, and after queen picks up on c5, Tal would play queen f7 check. And after the king move, we have a beautiful queen f6 check, and pretty much this is a double attack, and you will lose your rook, and you will lose the game. You have no counter attack as black here, so there is nothing good you should look up for in the future for you if you're playing this position as black. Tal was one of the best players of his time, so playing without a rook against Mikhail Tal in this sort of position is a completely lost game, and it's a waste of time, and that is the reason why Vaganyan decided to resign. And that is how Mikhail Tal won this game in only 12 moves. As you saw, a different game from what you used to see from Mikhail Tal, but still a wonderful way of of thinking by Mikhail Tal, the way he can find the solution in the positions immediately. That's why he was so great at chess. And this was all I prepared for you today. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to leave a comment, like and share this video, as it really helps me a lot. And of course, if you have some other suggestions, please make sure to leave them in the comment. If you're wondering why I am making the video without a camera, I'm just checking if these sort of videos are better for YouTube algorithm, because when I was starting my channel, these sort of videos were much better. For some reason, YouTube was recommending them much more than the ones with the camera. I don't know why, but that's pretty much it. So right now I'm testing and seeing what will do better, and if this is doing better, I will continue doing that. So I want to get to a certain place with YouTube. Of course, if something is doing better, I will continue doing it, and that's the reason why. You know me, you saw me on the camera, but if this doesn't give any results, I will continue, of course, with my videos with the camera. And yeah, so that was all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see each other in the next video. Have a nice evening. Bye bye.